Imagine you're a chick in an egg. Imagine you're getting ready to hatch and you're scared. You don't really know what's going on. You've only been conscious for a matter of days after all. And so you do what any baby does. You cry. And here's where things get really scary. No one responds to your cries because you're being hatched in a hatchery incubator rather than beneath a mama hen. If you were under a mama hen, she would talk to you when you were distressed. She would literally calm you with her words and her voice. And if you were still really upset, she would actually touch you by moving your egg with her beak. And so if her voice wasn't enough to calm you, that touch, that movement usually would be. Because even though you're in the dark, both literally and figuratively, you know someone's there who loves you. But in the hatchery, there's none of that. Hatchery chicks come out of their eggshells scared and alone. And shortly after they hatch and dry off, they are usually manhandled. They aren't treated like sentient beings, and they certainly aren't treated like babies. They are picked up like they're objects, and they are tossed in a box or a basket or onto a conveyor belt. They may be hastily vent-sexed by a hatchery expert, may be vaccinated before they're tossed on to the next thing. And then they're either finally set aside for pickup, or they're stuffed in a box to be shipped to a farm store or to a post office for you to pick up, and all the while they are crying. And they are crying until they're exhausted and they put themselves to sleep, and then they wake up and cry some more, and so on. And so far, they have learned that life is really scary. They have been left alone to fend for themselves with other helpless babies, and nobody cares about them at all. And that's terrifying because in the natural world, chicks will die if they don't find a caretaker immediately. And so they are hardwired to look for that mama and to call out for that mama hen. So when your chicks arrive or you pick them up, what can you do for them at this point? You can be that caretaker. You can actually make them believe that you are their mama hen. You can teach them that although they've had this very rough and very scary start in life, they aren't alone, and there really is someone who's going to care for them and love them and protect them from all the scary things. And you want to do that by imprinting them on you immediately. So when you first get your chicks, you want to overwhelm their senses with you, exactly like a mama hen would. And imprinting is not just some old wives' tale or something that I made up because it sounds good. It is a very well-studied biological process. And chicks are hardwired to imprint on a mother figure during their first couple days of life, and only their first couple days of life, so don't miss it. So let me show you exactly what I did with my last batch of chicks so you can do the same. I picked my chicks up from Dunlap Hatchery, which is about an hour away. It's the closest hatchery to where I live, which is why I always get my chicks there so I can pick them up as young as possible. And I always pick up my chicks as early as the hatchery will let me, which is the morning after they hatch at opening time. My chicks came in this little box, and as soon as I got them into the car, I cranked the heat up so they wouldn't chill, and my husband started the long drive home. And I started on imprinting. So first, smell. For the 5 days or so before I picked up my chicks, I slept every night in this pink tank top. And then I put this tank top inside their box for the car ride home. Second sense, sounds. I talk to my chicks immediately, and when they distress call on the way home, I talk to them with baby talk using a very soothing tone, just like a mother hen would. We're on our way, baby chickies. Hi, baby girl. Hi. Oh my God, they're precious. Yeah, that's better. And if that stops working and they continue distress calling, I move on to the third sense. And this is the most important sense at this age, and that is touch. Chicks, especially day-old chicks, love the feeling of something pressing against their backs. There was actually a study done that showed that chicks would choose to press up underneath a brooder even if that brooder never provided any heat. They still chose to press their backs up against it, and that's one of the many reasons I recommend brooder plates over heat lamps in the brooder. But you can do this tactile brooding for your chicks immediately on the car ride home with your hands. Is it recording? Do you see just how easy this is? When naturally raised chicks are just a day or two old, they spend a huge amount of their time brooding under Mama Hen. And that's why as soon as they get that feeling of being brooded, they are content. That's where they're supposed to be. They are safe. They are loved. And when they are distress calling at this young age, it almost always means that they want to be brooded by a Mama Hen, or they want to interact with the Mama Hen. You can see here that being brooded under the brooder plate isn't enough for little Pippa at this moment. She is crying under the brooder plate, and that is because she wants to be brooded and touched by a real caretaker. She wants an interactive brooding experience. So you can see that I next brood her with my hand, and that does calm her down some, but she still isn't fully happy. You can still hear her making some little peeps. So I then move to brooding her against my body, and she is finally content. She stops peeping and she goes to sleep.
I hope this shows up on camera. This one wants to come in too. Let me just... Okay. I got you, sweetie. Okay, now she's stopped.
Obviously, you won't be able to go that far with your chicks in the car. You do not want to take them out of the box in the car. But usually at that really young age, just putting your hands over them, especially because they really haven't been touched in a loving way before, so just putting your hands on them is usually enough. And then we have our last two senses, number 4, taste, and number 5, sight. And taste is the least important sense. It may play a minor role, but this is unlikely to happen in the car.
Hi, baby girls.
One of them pecking at my finger. But you will find as you interact more and more with your chicks that they will peck at you very gently, and this is just another way that they get to know you. And then lastly, sight. And surprisingly, sight is not actually that important during the very first day or two of your chicks' lives. And that's because when chicks are raised naturally, they spend most of those 2 days underneath the Mama Hen, and they barely come out, and so they barely even see her face. But after those first couple of days, sight does become really important really quickly. And so you want to spend a lot of time with your chicks during that time period if you can. And actually there is one really important and fun visual thing that you can do for your chicks that can calm them when they're scared, it can bond them tightly to you, and it can tame them very early. And almost everyone who raises chicks misses this. So if you would like to learn what this simple visual trick is and how to do it, then check out my video here on this topic. Happy chickening.